But,
That's mad. I mean, like, obviously, a lot of times you probably realize as well, like a lot of things happen by accident. I mean, have you found any settings back, like complete by accident, thinking, "Oh my god, that actually sounds amazing." That
yes, I
sounds
have.
really,
Yeah, because like you're probably like yourself. Like when you're first starting out, you don't know. Oh, how does a compressor work?
Yeah.
Oh, what does this dial do? And you just like you go to the extremes, and
Yeah.
then you kind of find a middle ground what you'd like. Yeah, I found like putting a low and a high cut EQ on a sort of lead sound, you get this really nice sort of warm, articulate vocal sound. So, and it's like one of those sounds where when you hold a note and then it just naturally goes into a harmonic. It kind of just starts singing. It's just lovely. So I kind of found that out by accident. I was like, oh, I like this. This is cool.
Yeah. And you said you can't sing. That was amazing. Okay, you can't sing.
No, I can't sing.
Yeah. That's amazing, though, Lan. Talk about accent as well, though. When I was producing a chat with my friend of mine, Kevin Grist, actually had a podcast, a wicked guy. I think I told you already that obviously we're both massive soundtrack fans, massive. And there was I can't remember the actual sound now. It's been a while since I've used it, or the track name, but there's a sound that I played, and it's from the Mad Max from Junkie XL. Yeah, and I played like the middle C, like do it. What the hell? That's from Mad Max. And like it's literally just like nothing changed. Like that was just that one. So like, you cheeky bastard. I know. I thought it was like a next level, like tweaking and rewind. So like, doom. Oh, that soundtrack is so sick.
It's amazing. But if that we have a shared love of music and video game soundtracks, it's it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Is that still the dream of yours? Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying, it's where most of the most talented composers are now.
Yeah,
doing video games and movies.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
And to think for, or even like up until recently, people didn't think of it as important, did they? Like, didn't want to get into it until recently. Like video game composing, what the hell?
I know.
But you show them tracks, like you talk about Dark Souls a minute ago, and then you got that from that to obviously the Doom soundtrack. Going back to Halo, Metal Gear Solid, back like years before that, like even the Mario soundtracks, like still get used today. Like people don't realize how good soundtracks actually are from games until you actually go, that's from a game.
Yep.
And like you said, that's where everyone's kind of moving into now, because look at the amount of people around the world that play games as well now. How much it is invested and how much bigger it's got now as well. I mean, they got like whole events now just for games, like game music.
Exactly. Yeah.
And have you ever been to like a VGM event, like video game music event?
I only went to not a video game music event, but I went to it was a show in London. I went with my brother Stefan. And I think we went to, I think it was called Insomnia or something, and they had one of the they had like an award for the best soundtrack of that year, and I forget which game it was. It was a while ago, but I love to watch the because I watched when Doom won it, and I was so happy that Doom won it.
Same.
And you saw that you had Mick Gordon and Matt Halpern from Periphery on the drums, and they were playing it live. I think it was 2019 or something.
Ooh.
And it's an amazing video, and it's just to see people just headbanging to metal. Like it's just like. Yes, I love that. And so absolutely, I love that kind of stuff. And Mick Gordon's my favorite. He's my favorite composer. Yeah,
he's definitely one of mine. Well, such an epic composer, man. He's so good.
I know, and he's so chill as well. Like he's like in interviews, he's just like, "Yeah, man, I could do that. Yeah, sure. I can show you how to do this. Yeah, absolutely." It's like, how can you be so nice and so talented at the same time? It's annoying.
You're someone like that, though.
Oh god!
So oh god! Thank you. But it's so funny because I just completed before the housework were coming on. I just completed Doom Eternal, and every time flipping.
The only thing they feel is you. Yeah. The only thing they feel
every time that came on, I went nuts. I was just doing this the whole time. I died. It's like, fuck off.
You just want to headbutt a wall, don't you? It's just like, oh,
I remember when I was texting you going, I'm getting it, we're playing around that game sick, and you usually said to me, just wait until later on. It gets
just wait until later on.
harder.
It gets absolutely crazy. Like the latter levels are absolutely insane. They just throw everything at you at
I
once. You're like,
remember.
oh, thanks, game.
Yeah, you were right. But I remember
Yeah.
there's one bit that drove me nuts. Like I got through it pretty all right. But you know that boss, the angel boss near the end?
The Khan Maker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, that drove me nuts.
She's
I
insane.
spent so long on beating her. Not as bad as the Valkyrie, the last Valkyrie from God of War, but still. Oh,
bad enough.
yeah. But remember when I told you that I stopped playing God of War for over a year because of the last Valkyrie. I couldn't beat her. And then you told me you beat her. Like, yeah, I beat her. Like, okay.
Yeah, I beat her. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Cool. And I beat her.
Inspiration.
You were my inspiration. You told me you beat her. I just spoke to my mate Mehmet. Shout out to Mehmet Rife, by the way, as well. Wiki, basically to the orchestra as well. He told me you beat her. I beat her, man. I was like, you know what? I've got to beat her, man. So literally,
never give up. My time is now.
Yeah. So like literally 3 days after work, I'd come home, eat, gym, come back. Okay, it's time. Let's try again for like literally 3 days straight for hours. I just try and beat her. And literally, you know, when the R3 comes up, like the final attack, R3 comes like, yes, and then,
finish.
But I thought I was going to ruin it because I think I told you I was doing like they call a chain move, whatever, like what do you call it? It's like, and then it's like when it's like,
Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, it's one of those moves like Blades of Chaos. Keep going for it. Like, oh, please don't ruin it. Please don't ruin it. After he grabbed it, killed us. Like, oh my god, yes!
I think you're just like New Game Plus. Let's do it all over again.
Yeah, saying that though, when I did it the second time around, though, I beat her like almost straight away. It's like, all right, yeah, like a couple new moves, but I was like, okay, figured out quickly. Beat her, like yes, but that's why I love soundtracks as well, though, because it makes everything so much better, there, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I was teaching the kids as well, talk about soundtracks. Like before, I was showing them like sounds of like different games and films and stuff. And okay, before like showing them like the video clip or whatever, the clip from the film or the game, I was saying like, how does it? Okay, let's describe this music here. How does it make you feel and why? Like, oh, and they'll look like give me like different ideas, like amazing ideas. Oh, this makes me happy. This makes me sad. This is fast. This is loud. Like, okay, if I told you this was from like. This like, oh wow, I didn't think of that. That's amazing.
Exactly.
And yeah, and even like with the game music, as you probably know as well, where you should like different soundtracks, you have like our parents or the older generation, like, stunning, that's beautiful, that music.
Yeah.
And you play like some game, like, oh wow, I didn't realize it's from that.
Exactly.
There we go. That's what we love it so
much. What was the first like sort of soundtrack, film or video game that really like hooked you onto that kind of stuff?
I think it was Metal Gear Solid, the first one.
Yeah.
That was like the first, well, one of the first. I was obsessed with games as I was younger, as you know, obsessed. And I think that game, because I've always been into like big films, like I always call these sort of games like interactive films, where
they are. Yeah.
I love these kind of like film-esque games where like God of War, the Metal Gear Solids to Uncharted to whatever it might be. Not so much Uncharted, but you know I love those games. But you know what I mean, like those big epic games.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the first game I completed 8 times. Like, I was obsessed with that. I knew every secret, every cheat. But I remember there's you know, the soundtrack is not from number 4 where they play like the old band theme, which I love as well. Wicked soundtrack as well. Harry Gregson Williams, by the way, another wicked composer. Him and his brother Rupert as well, both amazing composers. But from the first, I don't remember the guy's name though, but they actually reused it in number 4 when you go back to Shadow Moses. Like that when it's like the like female singing voice, like, oh my god, this like made me feel so emotional.
I know.
Oh my god. And when you go back to Shadow Moses, they play, they get like, oh my god, it'll come back again.
It's like, the feels.
All the feels. That's why I loved it, because like I said, like I was the first guy that properly got me hooked for years on gaming. Like that game right there, I loved it. And to go back to it many years later, like, oh my god, this is where it all started, right here. It's like, this is where it all started. And so I think that was the first one. And obviously, everyone knows like the Tetris theme as well. Obviously, Mario. But it's so. But how sick is it though? Like, games we've grown up for as little kids are still being used now, like 30, 40 years later. How mad is that?
Well, absolutely. It's like, and another. I know we keep going back to Doom, like, but like,
Yeah.
you know, even back in the
Yeah.
day, you know, when it was like just the 8-bit version, and it's
Yeah.
just become such a staple of video games. Like also like the Mario. Everybody knows the Mario theme. Come on, it's
Yeah.
like, but I think like the first one for me was it's got to be Halo because I
Yeah,
remember
I was just
going
about to say that. Yeah.
going into. I mean, we always used to. It's quite a fun memory. It's like whenever we used to go to Cyprus
Yeah.
during the holidays, and my cousin was cousin on my mum's side was very into Halo, and we used to play it all the time. And it was just hearing that. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
it was like that became ingrained in my head,
Yeah.
and to this day I listen to the like Halo 2 and 3, even Reach. Like Reach had some beautiful music in there, and I listen to them regularly.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and there's this video on YouTube. Like everyone should check this out, by the way. If you love like Halo or any kind of video game music at all, check out. It's Steve Vai
Mhm.
and Nile Rodgers with what's the, is it Martin
Oh,
O'Donnell?
I've seen
Is that
this.
his
Yeah.
name?
I've seen this.
Yeah,
Marty O'Donnell, the
and
composer. Yeah.
that the
Marty
composer,
O'Donnell. Yeah.
and they're in the studio, and he's playing and Steve Vai's playing the shredded riffic solo over it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's brilliant. And Noel Rodgers is like sitting like 2 feet away from him, like edging him on, going, "Go on, mate, yeah, do a bit more, like go crazy with it." And it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Check it out if you haven't seen it already.
I will do. Actually, still another thing, like sort of vinyl is that it's like watching Mick Gordon compose "Rip and Tear." We've got the first ever kind of like gothic choir.
Yes.
Rip and tear, like that. Like,
yeah.
I think this is insane, and you at the end of the only thing it feels you, which is still one of my favorite tracks of all time. I use it in the gym actually to work out, but you got that obviously BFT Division, Nuts, Meat Hook. Maybe nice names, but
they're very beautiful. Do you know, it's going to be my first dance at my wedding.
Meat Hook.
Meat Hook.
But,
Flesh and Metal.
Flesh and Metal. And also, is it Vega Core as well? I'd never heard a dirtier drop than that. It's the bass is like, Jesus, the headphones.
It's insane.
Yeah. But I just love it. And I talk about the soundtrack as well that I could talk about forever. Lucy, I could never pronounce the name of it, but one of my favorite tracks of all time from Batman, I think Begins or Rises. One I'm showing on piano or with both now is Coronavirus or something. Right. Sounds like coronavirus, basically. But it's but it's one of those tracks that makes you want to cry when you hear it.
Yeah.
And when we heard it again on the Batman Begins after, because I was going through with that book you bought me actually for Christmas years ago, I think my birthday or Christmas, which I've just destroyed. I loved it so much. Thank you again for that. I loved it.
That's all right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like obviously Hans Zimmer's my favorite composer of all time, of the modern era. Chopin for the more romantic, but I was going through the pieces of that book actually of what to learn next. I started off with the obvious like Lion King, Gladiator, both 6 soundtracks.
Gladiator,
yeah, and I couldn't quite remember this track, so I listened on YouTube and straight away I went da, 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 like that's the one right there. I checked it out and immediately it's like oh. But you know when you listen to a track, it's like it makes your hairs like stand on edge.
Absolutely.
It's like raw.
Yeah.
And that's why like even like when we were like, growing up, but like this is like what I wanted to get into. I didn't quite realize it until like when I was 17, where I mentioned before in the podcast before, like mine and other people's, where when it was into my second year of composing at college, where I probably production and composing was like one that I was like a new kind of entry into the syllabus, and I was going to get into production now, and as soon as I sat down like with podcasting, the minute I started doing it, probably like this is it. This is my other calling, like production. And I didn't realize it because even I've mentioned this before as well. Like one of my dad's old staff members called David got me this is years ago when I was like 5, 6, maybe 7-ish age, around that sort of age, like really young, maybe a little bit older. But he got us a piece of software called Dance EJ, which is still a software. These like Dance EJ and other bits, like same software, but obviously updated and obviously. And you can make your own tracks using like pre-made samples.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, oh my god! And if I tell you, I was obsessed. Obsessed. I would spend finish school, come back, and literally spend hours upon hours just making my own tracks. And I thought that's how music was made. Like, I didn't obviously know back then. I thought that's how tracks were made. Like, oh, these are all, that's like a game. Like you make pre-made samples and make your own track.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until obviously years later, where like in school and then college, where you would obviously use properly made software to like either like you said, like guitar, or for those that don't know, piece of equipment called a MIDI keyboard, like this one, where you, for those that don't know, stands, if you want to get technical, musical instrument digital interface, which basically what the hell are you talking about, man? I need a little lesson, right? It's these sort of things where you plug into a laptop and it basically acts like a kind of like a communication tool, so you can play the software on you can play the sound on the software to record those different sounds. And it wasn't until like college where you actually do that. I was like, oh, this is how they're properly made in. And it's just obsessed with like making music. And that's what I want to get into. And talk about Junkie XL. I think I told you already, didn't I, where I got offered to do a film.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, but for those that don't know though, I got offered to do a film soundtrack for the first time. I went to a networking event. I asked the guy, they're like, how to get into film, like soundtrack, da, da, da. He gave us a wicked advice, actually. Glenn Cathal, actually, wicked guy. Shout out to Glenn. He actually, about a week or two, about say 2 weeks later, I gave my name and number and email to him. And about 2 weeks later, he dropped me an email saying, "Hi George, hope you're okay. But I remembered what you said to me at the event, and we've actually got a brand new film coming up. Do you want to do it?" I was like, yep. I don't think I've ever applied so quick in my life. I literally, yes, I'm on it. So I was working on the track. I was like, you know what? Obviously, the first editions of tracks never get chosen unless like a instant. So, but the film was called Kill Your Friends. And it's because it's like quite a dark film, as is known by the title of the film, that because we want kind of like a dark drum and bass kind of track. Never done drum and bass before in my life, but I'm also obviously, as you know, I'm more like the classical hip hop kind of sound with obviously with the orchestra, but I would get samples from literally everything. Like actually, one of the samples I got was from Crawling. You know, in the song Crawling from Linkin Park, I think it's in the video version where it's like a little like the water going down the sink sound, like that kind of sound. And he goes into do, 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 do. I use that sync sound as part of the video. I worked really well and it came out brilliantly. And I said, oh, this is wicked. We love this. Let's try this now. And obviously tweaked it to there. We've gone really well. And out of the blue, he goes, oh, by the way, we've now got Junkie XL for the soundtrack. No,
it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah. And funny thing was, about a year or two later when the film came out, I think I told you already, where I don't know, I think I was going for a night out somewhere or a meeting somewhere down London. I got off the train and right in front of me was a poster for Kill Your Friends. I thought, oh, that was the film that I was working on. No.
Oh no.
But
it's like, yeah, it's not fun.
It's not fun. But I think I've seen things for a while now. I think games are taking over films now.
Absolutely. Yeah, to be honest, it's like, I mean, I think I've heard somewhere that it's the video game industry is like it's the biggest industry on earth right now. Which is unbelievable.
It is.
And it's, I mean, there was a point where I did want to go into like video game composing or just composing in general, but I realized that that's quite scary actually.
Yeah,
like, I mean, because I remember Mick Gordon was talking about like he was doing a like a masterclass or a show about how he came up with getting the Doom soundtrack to print or whatever. And he said, like, he was saying about when they first told him like what the brief was, and he just says, and they said to him, okay, Mick, we want a soundtrack that's pays homage to the original, that everybody will like, and that will fit the game aesthetic completely. Like, and he said, and he goes, my first reaction was to go into the bathroom and sob for about 2.5 hours. After that, I came out and I said, okay, how am I supposed to do something that everybody will love and will instantly be a classic and
Yeah.
also pays homage to the original? It's like,
Yeah.
and then after I heard that, I was like, I couldn't even get past that hurdle, man. I mean, that is the mental resolve of these composers, that what they have to, and they knowing that it's going to be bought by literally millions of
Yeah.
people, and it's going to be, you know, printed forever. It will be there forever, and you cannot afford to make any mistakes. It's just like, yeah, I would rather stick to just my little own my little own
Yeah.
world, you know, in a box like this.
Yeah,
Just
maybe.
like,
But how funny that when they were saying actually not to include guitar as well in the track though. Like don't put guitar in there, but it's like the main
are
thing
you
behind
insane?
it.
Are you
Are you
insane?
nuts?
Are you nuts? Like,
Yeah.
do you even gent, bro? Like, come on. Like,
He's
how
so
can you
true.
have Doom without a guitar? Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's like having Rome without chariots. Like, yeah, we want to have a
Yeah.
Colosseum like reenactment, but you're not allowed to use chariots.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's so true. I was talking to a couple of wicked composers like Kenny Young and Michael Quine actually on the podcast. Wicked, amazing guys, wicked composers as well. Shout out to them as well. They actually, I'll get into like how they got into it and kind of the behind the scenes stories and even things like which I forgot about actually. I was asking Michael actually about, you know, in like certain areas of games where obviously the music loops until you like figure that area out and move on.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten again how it works, but I think it's just like a piece of software that obviously keeps it going. But I need to actually get into that again. But it's just so interesting and yeah, like so interesting how it all works behind the scenes, isn't it? About music behind the scenes, and then like you said, it's like the biggest thing in the world now. I mean, like look at Call of Duty, for instance, over 1 billion players a year playing that.
Yeah.
And I never listened until recently, actually, where I listened to the Happy Hour podcast, and they had a big FIFA player on there, and they were actually talk about saying things like, "Why is like FIFA basically like same every single year now?"
Yeah.
Which it is like being like so they get a year now on the same thing, and he was saying it's because of Ultimate Team. And like for those that don't know, how we like, I still don't know myself properly, but I think when you buy a player to make your own team, basically like pay to win, basically.
Yeah.
People spend like hundreds and something thousands a year on this game, and do you know how much they get a year from just that alone? Ultimate Team.
It's something ridiculous, like
Yeah,
2 billion or something a year. It's like
it's over $1 billion
$1
a year they
yeah,
get from
billion
that,
pound a
just
year.
from that. And
It's
to think that's
disgusting.
One, yeah, I mean, I think that's on one game, just one game,
or
that's
one aspect of a game.
Yeah, one aspect of a game.
They got Madden. They've also got like NBA, and
Yeah,
like, they've all got the same stuff in it. It's absolutely insane.
yeah. I mean, talk about like EA, like obviously they own both Madden and FIFA. Just an example.
Yeah.
You know the guy that goes EA Sports, isn't the game? Obviously the classic. You know he didn't get paid for that.
I did not know that. Seriously.
Yeah, he did it for free for a mate of his. And because I love hearing these like behind the scenes stories, I just love stories in general, right?
Yeah.
But I love hearing like the business side of things as well, like how it all worked. And the guy goes, "Yeah, a friend of mine was working on Electronic Arts, EA, or a product, whatever it was." He goes, could you come over to Canada to do it? He's in America. I got to pay for your ticket, come over, and could you do it for free?" Basically, he goes, "Yeah, I'll do that for you, no problem." And because I did it for free, thought nothing of it. And then obviously soon after that's when like FIFA was coming out and Madden, and God, if he just got even just a little bit of a percentage of what he did from that, that's his life sorted, isn't it? Jesus, I mean,
exactly.
You're thinking of the whole world knows, basically in the gaming world at least. Everyone knows your voice. EA Sports.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
The whole world knows who you are, right? You did it for free. Like, oh my god, I think I'll kill myself. If I knew that, I didn't pay that. Oh my god, like, I didn't take a percentage of that. But that's why you got to be so careful with like, literally everything. I mean, you never know. You never know what's going to blow up. I mean, I've talked to so many amazing people about literally in their business within art, film, music, whatever it might be. And even they said, like, we don't know what works. Like, we don't know. I mean, something that you think would be like the best idea ever might not work. And then vice versa, something that you would hate actually goes on to be amazing. You just don't know. No. But you just learn just to be so careful with everything. I mean, whether it's getting an upfront payment or getting a percentage of something or something, you've got to be so careful. And I think a lot of people get scared of saying, I want a percentage in that, of like losing that thing. But
yeah,
to think that, for instance, this guy, I don't know his name, but to think he did it for free and didn't get a dime from that, yet billions of copies have been sold, millions and
Think
billions a
about
year.
it, every single time you boot up that game, you hear his voice. It's like,
you hear his voice.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get like PTSD from that. Him like, no, I don't want to hear that. I've got to walk out the room.
Yeah, I know. I just think about how much money I lost out on. Yeah, that's not ideal.